I don't know if we're ready for this or not because Bel K will not look me in the eye. Look me in the eye. I'm just asking you to look me in the eye. I don't know. If I call for the thing and the thing's not there, you're going to look at me like, oh, I didn't know you were calling for the thing. But if you don't, I know when I first got here, see, Ken, this is the problem. When I first got here, I told Bell never to look me in the eye like Hillary Clinton. And he's still abiding by that. But we've become friends since.
I did one time, and I got slapped. Literally slapped across the face.
That's the Hillary's rules of staff communication. Let's do best weekend ever, worst weekend ever! I don't know. We might take suggestions on the theme. Yes. I was feeling it. I was feeling it in our pod room. I don't know if I'm feeling it here. All right, here's the concept. You tell us why it was the best weekend ever and why it was the worst weekend ever. As a proof of concept, I'm going to ask Mr. Ken Weaver from the newsroom.
All right.
Ken Weaver?
Yes, sir.
Was it the best weekend ever?
It was and it wasn't.
Okay, tell me why it was the best weekend ever.
All right, it was the best weekend ever because I sipped on some fine wine out in the pretty Middle Tennessee sunshine on a Sunday afternoon. You don't have to say. When usually I'm sitting around waiting to go to bed. But I did not have to go to bed. I even put my pinky out. Whenever I was, even on smoking my big cigar, sipping my fine wine. And I had my pretty wife with me.
Was that picture y'all took?
Yes, sir.
That was so good.
Oh, listening to some bluegrass music.
We all outkicked our coverage, Ken, but you did particularly good.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying.
Well, I made her laugh.
That's right. That's the way you got to go.
And pretty girls they like dudes who make them laugh.
Look, if you're George Clooney, you can sit around and brood all day long and get all the women you want.
That's right.
But if you're Ken Weaver and Matt Murphy,
you got to make them laugh.
You better throw some jokes.
That's right. Yeah, I convinced her I was a prize fighter.
I'll go in the toe-to-toe in the ring.
I mean, she laughed. And here we are today, dude. Married.
That's awesome.
Sipping wine.
Ken, why was it the worst weekend ever?
Now, it was the worst weekend ever because of football.
Oh, no. Y'all won?
Well,
for those not accustomed to Ken Weaver in the afternoon hours, and I can understand that, maybe you're listening at different times, Ken Weaver is a fan of the Oklahoma Sooners, and I would only say this to Ken Weaver. You ready, Ken?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Boomer Sooner.
Boomer. Yes, sir.
So y'all played. Who'd y'all play?
Houston. Mm-hmm. The Houston Cougars, who got shellacked by the UNLV Rebels the prior week. Now, it's the worst weekend ever because one of my football teams lost. That was the Titans.
Yeah.
They lost. They should have won that game. But then, yes, my Oklahoma Sooners deserve to lose because they seem destined for significant mediocrity. Their offense stinks.
Oh, man.
And if it isn't fixed fast, we're not going to win more than one more game all season long.
Ken Weaver! One kid. I like you because you're like me. I'm such a pessimist.
Yeah.
When it comes, y'all will be fine.
No,
who y'all play this week?
Dude, we got to play Tulane. And they're no joke.
Well, Tulane's not a joke, but hold on. Let me just pull up. Hold on a second. Let me just pull up. I'm going to look up Oklahoma Sooners. Say it again. Football schedule. All right. It was 16-12. And you got Tulane coming up. Okay. All right. Oh, well, that's fine. And then you get a little break.
No, we don't.
Got Tennessee. The Volunteers the Volunteers, I think, could hang a half 100 on the Tennessee Titans. I think they could.
They may be able to do that. I don't know. I don't know. Titans defense is pretty good.
Okay, here's your break, Ken. September 28th. Auburn.
No?
No?
No, not the way we're playing, dude.
All right, what about October 12th? Texas. Golly. I mean,
Lord have mercy.
Weaver, welcome to the SEC. Then you got South Carolina, which you would have thought easy dub.
No.
But then they just skull drug Kentucky.
Yeah, I mean they pinned their ears back and went after the Cats, boy.
Zoo, Alabama. Golly, y'all got a hard schedule. All right, Ken Weaver, there's best weekend ever, worst weekend ever. Bell K, best weekend ever, worst weekend ever.
I don't think this is going to fit the concept, but I'm not sure because I was asleep for the overwhelming majority of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think out of the 56 hours, I was probably.
You were when you were asleep, it was the best weekend ever, and when you had to wake up, worst weekend ever.
Yeah, that's fair.
There you go.
The cat's running across the bed, waking me up.
Max is in Springfield. Max, what's going on, buddy?
I don't know, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great, but here's my I got a question for you, Max.
Yes, sir.
Was it the best weekend ever?
You know, it was great. It was great. I had a best and a worst and a best.
Okay. Tell me, so which one do you want to do first?
Let's do the best.
Okay, let's do it.
I went duck hunting this January, and I took some ducks to the taxidermist, and he called and said they're ready. And I asked him to mount them as if they were landing because I have a vaulted sunroom, and I was going to hang them from the ceiling like they're coming in to land. So I got them. They look great. I was mounting them, hanging them from the ceiling. I did the first one. Just looks like a real duck fly. And next one, the third one, they all look great. That was really awesome.
Good.
The bad part is I fell off the ladder.
Oh, no.
But the next good thing is I didn't break anything. So
okay.
Everything's good.
Did you got some bruising, black and blue a little bit there, Max?
A little bit, yeah.
How high are we talking?
14 feet.
Good gracious. You're lucky, man.
Well, I mean, no, that's the top of the ceiling. I fell about 8 feet, so, you know.
That's still no picnic.
Still, that's a broken leg half the time in my world. So
yeah.
good for you.
I've learned as I've gotten older, I just don't bounce like I used to.
Yeah, that's true. When we were younger, I fell off a roof when I was a young kid. My grandpa and I were re-roofing the house on Earl Street, and because you did that kind of stuff yourself. It was just me and him, and I slid right off the house.
Goodness.
I mean, but 14 feet for a kid, you just bounce right back up.
Yeah.
I was 16 years old. If I did that now, I would be dead.
Where the hell was your brother during all these stories?
He was with my dad in Charleston, South Carolina.
Oh, he literally wasn't living with you?
No.
Oh, I see. Okay, that makes all the difference.
He had left, yeah. And I'm better for it, but at the time, I'm like, man, why's not Brian? I was like you, Bell. Why isn't Brian here doing all this? Steve is in Bowling Green. Steve, best weekend ever, worst weekend ever.
Best weekend ever, worst weekend ever. Yes.
All right.
Went to the Atlanta race. Had reserved parking. Sit in the penthouse. Had the Quaker State Suites.
Oh wow!
Everything paid for.
Wait a minute. Why did Ken Weaver and Matt Murphy? Steve, hold on a second. Why did Ken Weaver and Matt Murphy not get invited to this event? What's the deal?
I even had my pinky out.
Well, is that the good part? What happened?
That's the good part.
Okay.
Joey Logano won.
Oh yeah.
That's a couple he's won.
That was the bad part, wasn't it?
Yeah, that just set it all in the spot.
Yeah, no, listen, I'm right there with you, Steve. Yeah, no, Logano. I mean, the trouble, Steve, with hating Joey Logano, and Ken, I don't know how much of a racing fan you are.
Well, he's a troublemaker, isn't he?
The trouble with hating him though is he's a really good driver.
Oh,
and so,
gotcha. Yeah,
but yes, we call him a blocker.
Yeah,
right, Steve?
Yeah.
He likes to block.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well,
hey, you haven't spent that 2020 bill yet, have you? You haven't spent all that money in one spot, have you?
No. Hey, Steve, I appreciate that. I've got that in my office, as a matter of fact. That is sitting up on a bookshelf in my office. Steve gave me the $20 bill or 2020 bill with Donald Trump on it over in I think I was at the Clock Store, Steve, if I'm not mistaken. All right, one more we'll get in here now. Craig, I don't know if you're playing best weekend or worst weekend or what, but we're going to do it anyway. Hey, Craig, how are you?
Doing good, brother. I say I had a good weekend. The Vols pulled out another good victory.
Man, y'all look good, buddy.
Hey, I'm telling you, man, it's about time. It's about time. We paid our dues.
Let me tell you something. Nobody wants to play the Volunteers right now.
I'll tell you right now, I don't.
I mean, Oklahoma, I'm a Georgia fan, Craig. We're the #1 team in the country. I want none of the Vols right now. None of them.
Well, we got to work on a running game. I thought a running game was a little slow. We got a couple interceptions that is questionable, but hey, we got a young quarterback. Nick Saban, he's bragging on him.
No, Nico's great. Yeah. He's great. If I figure out how to say his last name, I'll say the full one, too.
Me, too. I just got a quick question. I figured you could answer this for me. If you had to help Donald Trump out, would you let him go on the Bill Maher show?
Yes, I think I would encourage, and Craig, thank you for the call. I would encourage Donald Trump to go. Donald Trump is willing to go anywhere and everywhere. If Donald Trump's willing to sit down with the National Association of Black Journalists, Donald Trump certainly can go on the Bill Maher show. Now, Bill Maher is no fan of Donald Trump, but Bill Maher is a sensible human being. Bill Maher is an old school Democrat or an old school liberal. Bill Maher gets where the liberals are going off the reservation. So I think Donald Trump would do fine on the Bill Maher show. I think he should. I think he should make an appearance anywhere and everywhere he can get an audience, because the mainstream media is not giving him fair treatment. The mainstream media is not going to be balanced with him, despite what Mark Cuban has to say about it. Did y'all see that? Mark Cuban is the dumbest billionaire on the face of the earth. From a political perspective, certainly. He said that Donald Trump gets a free pass with the mainstream media. That's what he said. And, I mean, like 90% of the stories on mainstream media are negative toward Donald Trump, where like 86% of Kamala Harris's are positive. But one way or the other, I would tell him to go anywhere and everywhere that he can reach new eyeballs, to demonstrate to people that he is not this evil incarnate that the media tries to portray him as. He is not the next Adolf Hitler or totalitarian, authoritarian dictator as Kamala Harris and her team are trying to portray him. And I would encourage him to go anywhere and everywhere he can. There it is. That's the first edition, a very successful edition of Best Weekend, Worst Weekend Ever on the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.